Ever wondered why lotteries are so popular, even when times get tough? Well, hold on to your hats, because there are some surprising secrets lurking behind those shiny lottery balls. Who's up for a little uncovering adventure with me? Did you know that lotteries might actually want you to be out of work? It might sound like a wild conspiracy theory, but it's backed by research. An Indiana University professor named John McKessel found that when unemployment rates go up in the United States, lottery ticket sales also soar. Picture this. When the economy takes a hit, people lose their jobs, and it's undeniably tough for many. But at the same time, those massive lottery jackpots start cropping up more frequently than ever before. Remember those jaw-dropping billion-dollar jackpots during the lockdowns? They're proof that more folks are buying lottery tickets when times get tough. So what's the deal here? Let's dig deeper and uncover the lottery's secrets. But the lottery isn't simply fond of these sporadic rises in unemployment. They truly like all types of money issues. Lotteries constantly take advantage of the weak and helpless. Most of us won't play until there's a huge prize and we have some extra cash to try our luck. However, the lottery cannot wait until we buy a ticket. For them to reach those enormous jackpots, they need to sell a lot more tickets than we occasionally do. So where does the funding come from? People who need money badly, I guess. These people's lack of education benefits the lottery even more because they are more prone to think that winning the lottery will help them escape poverty. This is so because intelligent people are told that it's nearly difficult to win the lotto prize. Without that instruction, people are unaware of how remote the possibility is. The more people play, the more likely they are to develop a gambling addiction to lottery gambling as their financial situation worsens. But is playing the lottery really addictive? Yes. Please reconsider. Purchasing lottery tickets may develop into a severe addiction. We're not accusing you of addiction just because you occasionally purchase a lottery ticket. The majority of lottery players never develop a gambling addiction. However, that does not make it any less addicting. According to studies, lottery play stimulates the same area of the brain as cocaine use. In essence, playing the lottery causes your brain to release dopamine, just like all other types of gambling. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that rewards you for doing things by making you feel happy. Therefore, it's actually a positive thing. Normally, finishing a task or, if you're a caveman, locating food will give you a rush of dopamine. That's a nice thing. However, gambling, whether it's playing the lottery or using drugs, provides a considerably stronger dopamine rush than what our systems are accustomed to. Yes, 10 times more than what we gain from successfully accomplishing a pleasurable task. Because of this, they become addictive. Therefore, despite the fact that playing the lottery doesn't entail any drugs, a lottery addiction is truly a physical addiction. The high levels of dopamine that the human brain releases lead to addiction. Don't worry, buying lottery tickets won't become an overnight addiction for you. According to research, some people are inherently more inclined than others to develop addictions. It's interesting to know that these individuals frequently have less active reward centers in their brain. Compared to most people, they don't release as much dopamine during routine rewarding tasks, so you're less likely to become addicted to the lottery if you're generally content or love doing things that aren't addicting. The lottery industry does, however, gain from those who do become addicted. In addition, as previously indicated, lottery players are much more prone to develop a gambling addiction than those who consider it as their only means of escaping a dire financial situation. They will purchase more tickets, even if they can't afford it, the more addicted they are. See how it benefits the lottery? Then, are you serious? That's seriously flawed. But the lottery also takes advantage of the winners, not only those who lose their money. You never receive the entire sum that you bet for. Although some people play for modest prizes, let's face it, the majority of us play for the enormous jackpots. Many Americans are rushing out to buy tickets in hope of winning the Mega Millions or Powerball jackpots, which have risen above $1 billion by next week. But it doesn't work like that. Let's assume that the announced prize is $1 billion. You don't wake up with $1 billion in your account, even if you win the lottery. This is due to the fact that the lottery will only pay out around half of the advertised price if you opt to take the lump amount, because they only pay out 52% of the advertised price. The enormous Powerball jackpot of $1 billion reduces to $520 million if you accept the lump sum. What? I know, it's very shocking. Why do they act that way? They claim that it has to do with the announced prize actually displaying how much money you will be paid out over time, taking inflation into account. That is more in line with the annuity payout option, which spreads out your prize money across years or even decades. It may seem wise to choose the annuity option for your lottery wins, but there's still one more cost to consider: taxes. Lottery winners in the US must pay taxes on their winnings, and these taxes may apply more than once. First, there's the federal tax, which all lottery winners must pay regardless of where they live. The real kicker, though, is that you can also be liable for state taxes, depending on which state you call home. Yes, another portion of your gains may go. The sad truth is that a sizable chunk of your jackpot fantasies might end up in the government's coffers. Even if you choose the annuity payment option, you can still lose up to 45% of your reward in rare circumstances. Each payment is reduced by the taxman, thus eroding your once envisioned prosperity. It's a depressing reality that can make you feel discouraged about playing the lotto in general. If you're a devoted lottery player, the possibility of high taxes may even make you think about relocating to a nation where lottery wins are not subject to taxation. Yes, there are such enchanted locales where the taxman never touches your prize. The striking difference is enough to make you desire for a lottery victory with no conditions connected to the money. However, even if you don't win the entire sum, it's still a sizable amount of money. You'll benefit from it. However, you are in for a terrible surprise if you are playing to support your family. It's harder than you might imagine to use your lotto winnings to support your family. Now that you've hit the jackpot, all of your troubles should be solved, right? Your loved ones and you are prepared for life. But it's not really that easy. It turns out that you can't just give your friends and family millions of dollars. In exchange for your kindness, the government will demand a portion of it. Do you know about gift tax? Not many people have. Even to your own family members, you must pay a gift tax if you want to give the money away. Many lottery winners are caught in this trap. They don't realize they're losing a ton of money while they believe they're making life better for the people they care about. That's hardly an overstatement. After you've already paid taxes on your winnings, the gift tax in the US can be as high as 46% of the money you give away. That's a lot more money than we intended to pay the taxman. And gift taxes are not simply a concern in the United States, they exist in practically every nation. Even the countries that don't tax you on your lottery winnings. It's not always as high as 46%, but it's always waiting to catch unsuspecting rich people when they're trying to be nice. In other words, you can't escape it. But don't worry, unless you're on the inside, you probably won't succeed anyway, because the game is rigged. You might have a chance. Okay, generally not, but not always. To prevent the game from being rigged, many precautions are taken. Sure, there might be nefarious activity going on with the Powerball or Mega Millions, but we're unaware of it. But there are several rumors that the lottery is fixed. So, below is a brief summary of the world's most amazing lottery controversies. They're quite amazing, I promise. Counterfeit ticket from Cuba. Cuba lottery administrators came up with the notion one day. They intended to swindle foreigners into purchasing fake Cuban lottery tickets so they could pocket the proceeds. It escalated to the point where tickets were being offered for sale as far away as South Florida, the West Indies, and even Puerto Rico. The issue became so severe that the Cuban president had to intervene and put a stop to it. Tickets bought after the draw in China. If there's one way to guarantee you'll win the lottery, it's to know what the winning numbers are going to be. But how can you know that before buying a ticket if you're not lucky enough to be a real-life psychic? Well, 36-year-old Zhou Li Qin from China noticed a flaw in the lottery ticket machine in his store. It allowed him to keep buying tickets for 5 minutes after the winning numbers were announced in a live draw. So he simply bought a ticket once he knew what the winning numbers were. Then he kept doing it. He got away with it for a while because he owned more than one store with a lottery machine, so he was harder to track. But by the time he was caught, he had already won $3.76 million. But his lucky streak didn't last long. He was caught and jailed for life for taking that opportunity. The Pennsylvania 666 scandal. Did you believe that all bizarre controversies only occurred outside of the United States? Well, reconsider. Right here in Pennsylvania, one of the most infamous and bizarre lottery scandals in history took place. Let's go back to 1980 now. Imagine this. The person in charge of announcing the winning lotto numbers live on television was Nick Perry, who teamed up with Edward Pleble, a man who oversaw the lottery at the time. Together, they came up with a scheme to rig the lottery in their favor. This is what they did. You see, they wanted the numbers 4 and 6 to appear more frequently during the lottery drawing, so they made a decision to experiment with the lottery balls. The balls in question should be entirely fair, but they aren't in this instance. The balls with number 4 and 6 had a little extra weight added to them in secret by Nick and Edward. Sneaky? Yes. Here's when things start to become really intriguing. It was planned for the chamber where these balls were kept to be extremely secure, double locked and all that nonsense. But what's this? Both Nick and Edward were intelligent men. They possessed 2 keys to this closed room, not just one. They could so easily access the balls whenever they desired. When the lottery drawing eventually took place, a very strange thing happened. Not only once, but 3 times the number 6 was mentioned. Are you serious? 8 fortunate individuals came forward and said they had the winning numbers, which was the cherry on top. The lottery administrators found this to be quite suspicious. There was obviously a shady situation going on. The authorities began looking about right away, and lo and behold, they soon discovered what Nick and Edward had been up to. Since these 2 men were essentially the only ones who could deal with those unique balls, it wasn't particularly complicated. What a scandal right here in our neighborhood. The blindfolded Italian children. Different lottery draws operate differently. Children were being used to select the winning numbers in Italy in 1999. To ensure a random draw, these kids were blindfolded, but it turns out that was a bad idea. There are several ways to trick small children into choosing your winning numbers while they're blindfolded. They obviously manipulated the game by simply removing the blindfold so the kids could see. They also figured out how to lacquer the balls they intended to emerge from the draw with a super shiny sheen so that the children could see them through the blindfold. Some people tried to cheat in the lottery by using a sneaky trick. They either froze or heated up the balls with the winning numbers so that the kids could feel them and pick them out. But their plan backfired when, during one draw, a ball got too hot and a child got hurt touching it. Everyone figured out what was going on and the cheating scheme was stopped. This shows that there are many ways people can cheat in lotteries. We can only hope that big lotteries aren't affected by these shady activities, but it's not just the people running the lottery draws who can be the problem. Even the people who sell lottery tickets sometimes steal the winning ones. So we need to be careful and make sure lotteries are fair for everyone. You know that nice man who owns the store where you buy your lottery tickets? He might not be as nice as you think. There's a huge problem with store clerks stealing winning tickets. They check the ticket for you, and if they see you've won, they simply take the ticket for themselves. There are a few ways to do this. Some simply say you haven't won and pretend to throw the lost ticket in the trash, but they actually put it under their desk or in their pockets. Other clerks have a stack of losing tickets, which they'll give to you instead of returning your ticket. Or sometimes they'll tell you you've won a small amount like $5, which they happily hand over. But really, you've won $5,000, which they collect for themselves, and nobody ever notices the wrong person got the cash. In one case, a man was told he'd won $5,000 when he'd actually won $5 million. And there are multiple lottery clerks who have taken home millions that way. The worst case happened in London when a 60-year-old veteran went to check his ticket. He knew he'd won something because the lottery machine made a noise in celebration, but the clerk refused to give his ticket back. Someone at the lottery tried to help the man and found out that he'd won $8 million, but the lottery had paid out the prize to the clerk, who stole the ticket and refused to do anything to help. He still hasn't received his winnings, while the ticket thief is living the good life with his money. The problem is so bad in the US that there are dedicated undercover lottery investigators who spend their time trying to catch clerks who are stealing tickets. How? They give the clerk a special ticket, which they know are winners of a decent amount of cash. If the clerk tells them they've won and tells them the right amount of cash, then they're fine. But if the clerk tries something sneaky, the lottery investigator alerts the authorities. That's the only reason we know about all the times clerks have stolen tickets. So next time you take your ticket to a store to check your winnings, make sure to watch your clerk closely. They're probably not trying to steal from you, but if they are, you'll catch them and keep your money. Another way to beat this problem is to buy your lottery tickets online. But as you're about to see, that's not a perfect system either. Online lotteries are destroying stores. Did you know the stores earn a lottery commission? They earn money for ticket sales, and if a ticket they sold wins money, they get cash equal to a percentage of what that ticket was worth. It's pretty great for stores. A lottery machine also increases the number of customers in their stores because people come in to buy a ticket and then often buy other things too. So the lottery can really help keep their doors open, especially when they're a small business run by a family or just one person who's trying to keep their doors open. But now, lotteries across the US and in some countries are pushing for online lotteries, which are starting to take over. The lotteries will earn more money from this because people are more likely to impulse buy tickets when they can do it on their phones and don't have to go all the way to store to buy it. But these changes means that the stores are suffering, and many are even being forced to close their doors. This isn't a problem at all. The lottery will tell you, because so much of the money from ticket sales is used to improve the neighborhood. However, even that might not be the case. Lottery money doesn't go where you may expect. This is one method the lottery uses to persuade intelligent people to keep purchasing tickets. They frequently discuss how the proceeds from ticket sales will be put to good use. This can be everything from protecting the environment to assisting young people who are homeless. However, the money presumably isn't being used in the manner they claim. For instance, the Los Angeles Unified School District received $97 million from the $1.39 billion in revenue generated by the California Lottery in 2014, which was utilized to upgrade the district's educational facilities. The local lottery made a big deal of it in the following academic year so that everyone was aware of how much good may come from purchasing a lottery ticket. However, that was just one instance, and not many places are administered as effectively as California. Lottery proceeds are often placed in a general state fund in the United States, where the state government determines what happens to them. And yes, sometimes things do go precisely where they should. But a lot more frequently, material will be dispersed so widely that nothing finds its intended location or authorities will completely lose track of it. Therefore, all of the money that you spend on tickets in the belief that someone will profit from it, even if you do not win, actually disappears into a hole in the state coffers. And many nations outside of the United States are also experiencing that.